Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Hannah and on this channel I post a ton of anti-MLM content. I'll link a playlist right here and down below in the description box for you. This is a collection of all of the anti-MLM videos on my channel, and if any of this kind of content sounds interesting to you, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, consider liking this video. All of those things really help to support my channel, and I appreciate you so much for doing that. For today's video, I have another MLM horror stories. These are your own personal experiences that you have taken the time to write out and send to me. If at any point you would like to send in your own story to me, the instructions for how to do that are in the description box. It's very easy, you just send me an email. And without further ado, let's read some stories. Hi Hannah, I'd like to remain anonymous please, and a trigger warning for those sensitive to stories involving bullying and stalking. So here's your trigger warning for that. Over the years, I've encountered a number of MLMs before I knew what an MLM even was. Amway, Tastefully Simple, Arbonne, Pampered Chef, Stampin' Up, Beauty Control, Pure Romance. I honestly thought the parties were innocent, and I made a number of purchases through these parties because I liked the products. I avoided hosting parties or signing up until back in early 2000, I'd moved to a new city and was killing time at the mall during some sort of women's expo they were hosting. I see exactly where this is going. I registered to win a makeover, and a few days later I discovered I won a consultation with a Mary Kay consultant. I'd heard of Mary Kay and they had an alright reputation for their product at the time as far as I knew. The internet as it is today and online reviews did not exist. I went, tried on the products, found some things I liked, and was going to make a fairly large purchase. I'll call my consultant Maggie, that's not her real name. Maggie offered the consultant sign up as a means of getting a discount. I said that sounded great, but I wasn't interested in selling. She assured me that I wouldn't have to sell anything, but I would need to purchase $180 worth of products every 6 months to remain active and keep my discount. I thought this was perfect because a friend of mine had just been bemoaning the fact that her consultant had quit and she couldn't find another one. Between myself, my friend, and a few other friends, we managed to make the order amount every 6 months, with me occasionally having to get an extra product or two to make the minimum. Right out of the gate, Karen, not her real name, our red jacket wearing, pink Cadillac flaunting upline, was super pushy about me joining their regular team meetings and bringing a guest for me to make over at the meeting. I hadn't made any friends there yet and didn't have childcare, so I managed to escape those. After I moved to a different state, she continued to harass me on a weekly basis about how I could be doing so much more, and that I needed to find a group of Mary Kay consultants locally to serve me the Kool-Aid, connect with, and she'd very underhandedly berate me for not selling. So great. We love getting harassed and berated on a regular basis. Fast forward 2 years, I developed cystic acne and persistent contact dermatitis on my face and neck as a result of the products. After some extensive and expensive treatment with a dermatologist, I got my skin back to normal. I still have scars on my chin, but had stopped using Mary Kay altogether. My friends were still buying from me, so my portion of the order was turning into inventory that I had to get rid of. We technically weren't allowed to sell our products on the internet, and I can neither confirm nor deny that I did find a way to do just that. My upline refused to believe my skin issues were the result of the Mary Kay products and said I needed to stop making excuses for not selling. I wasn't going to sell something I couldn't use myself or that was being promoted by such unethical people. I ended up resigning altogether not too long after that. I sold my mostly untouched starter kit on eBay and never looked back. But wait, there's more. Back in 2014, I was looking for a way to lose weight but couldn't afford a gym membership. I saw an infomercial for 21 Day Fix. I liked what I saw and I ordered the kit with the DVDs and portion fix containers. So pause, here's a funny story. Right around this time, I think it was like 2013, 2014, I also saw a Beachbody infomercial. It was for the Insanity program, and I was like, dang, those workouts look really intense. Like, I want to do that. I want to challenge myself, look at these great results that they're promoting, all those things. But I couldn't afford the actual program cost, and so I found the DVD pack of the Beachbody Insanity program on eBay, and I bought it on eBay for like $60 or something. And this was back before they had their Beachbody On Demand program where all the programs were sold through DVDs. And so it really was just as simple as that. Like, I found somebody on eBay who was selling this one program of DVDs that I wanted. I bought it. I did that program for like 3 years and I loved it. Okay. It kicked my butt and it was very effective. I'm not going to lie, but it really was like the OG Beachbody type program. Like the exercises weren't crazy. They weren't ridiculous. I wasn't injuring myself. I didn't have to go through a rep or anything like that. That is the one MLM product that I have spent my own money on. And of course, Here's also a key part of the story. I was in high school at the time. I did not know what MLMs were. I was completely oblivious. All I saw was this advertisement on TV. I had no reason to believe that it was like a non-ethical business model. I didn't even know what it was. And I bought it on eBay and I got pretty good use out of it, actually. I was randomly assigned a coach who pitched converting me to a coach for the discount on Shakeology. I stupidly signed up. This is interesting. I did not know that because you bought it through the infomercial and they automatically assigned you a Beachbody rep? That's crazy. I did not know that they did that. The MLM model was a pretty new thing for Beachbody at this time, so there were no team calls, no one bothering me about selling or recruiting. I paid my $15.95 a month coaching fee and $97 a month for Shakeology, which is the coach price with the shipping, for about a year before I had to cancel everything due to financial difficulty. I mean, yeah, that's over $100 a month. That's not a small cost, especially kind of for something that you never really anticipated getting yourself involved in to begin with. This all started by you just buying something from an infomercial, and then it turned into you continuing to pay this money over and over and over again every month. A couple of years later, I decided I wanted to start using the Beachbody on-demand service and use Shakeology again. I saw on social media that someone I knew was a coach, so I signed up with her. We'll call her E. Still very naive about MLMs at this point. I tell her that I'm just here for the discount, and that flies for about 2 months. E starts getting extremely pushy about joining team calls or joining the team power hour. She scheduled them during the day when I was working my 9-to-5 job, and then she would get upset that I couldn't make it. I was often told if I'd apply myself to Beachbody, I wouldn't have to have a 9-to-5, and I could participate with the rest of the team. Okay, but that's not your goal, and you were very upfront about that from the beginning. Hey, I'm just here for Beachbody on demand and the Shakeology. That's it. And they're still trying to push you down this path of like quitting your 9-to-5 to do Beachbody full time? Like, what is going on? Recruiting just felt so gross anyway, and I didn't want to do it. I just wanted my discount. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It all came to a head in 2016. This is important, so hang with me. I had an ex-boyfriend start using fake Facebook accounts to stalk and harass me while sending a bunch of stuff about me to my friends. I would block him, he'd make a new account. It was all so high school until it started hitting malicious slander level and he was making threats. Facebook was blowing me off and telling me to get a thicker skin. Local law enforcement wouldn't do anything until there was actual bodily harm. I felt I had no option but to delete my Facebook account, and I did. I am so sorry to hear that this happened to you, but those are two perfect examples of the way that certain systems fail the victims of stalking. It's a whole other topic that I get very heated about, but there have been countless unimaginable tragedies that have resulted from people not taking women seriously when they say that I'm being stalked and harassed. So shame on Facebook for that, shame on your local law enforcement for that. A few days later, I get an email from E basically demanding that I leave her team and resign as a coach since I no longer have a Facebook account, and I wasn't doing anything for her anyway, other than making purchases. How dare she? When I tried to explain to her what was going on, she fell into victim blaming and gaslighting. It was just adding insult to injury. Okay, so shame on this person also for failing you as a victim of stalking. I called Beachbody that day and resigned as a coach. When they tried to talk me out of it, I told them I would no longer be of an organization that allowed uplines to abuse and bully their downline. I've never seen a cancellation for anything processed so fast. Thank you, Hannah, for giving us a place to share our stories and get the word out that MLMs are nothing but trouble. Give your kitty an ear scratch from me. Unbelievable. It's infuriating in the first place that you felt like your only action was to delete your Facebook account and get off the internet. If this guy's not going to stop harassing you, and if people aren't going to do anything about it to protect you, what other choice do you have but to close down your social media? And I think saying adding insult to injury is a perfect way to put it, that your upline is like, oh, I don't really care that you're going through this right now. All I care about is that you deleted your Facebook, and therefore you're not making me enough money and I need you off my team. Goodbye. It's so infuriating on so many levels. And funny how that works when you tell the company, hey, you have some serious issues going on with the relationships between the coaches in your company, and their solution is apparently just canceling the account super fast, sweeping it under the rug, and not doing anything further about it. But are we surprised? No, not really. Thank you for sending this story in. You include a lot of very important topics to talk about. This story says, hi Hannah, lately I've been getting into anti-MLM content and I remembered something that happened a few years ago. A bit of background, my cousin and I moved in with my grandma after high school because we were going to college in the the city my grandma lives in. I also grew up in that city, but I still wanted a bit of the away from home experience, and my cousin and I are best friends even though she grew up across the state, so I was really excited. Anyway, my grandma's friend, probably boyfriend, but he's married and he's her landlord, and she is his wife's cleaning lady, so it's all really complicated. It's a horror story in and of itself, honestly. Yeah, can you write me a story about that whole situation? We need to hear what's going on with your grandma. My grandma's friend bought her a house and was fixing it up for her over the summer before my cousin and I were supposed to move in. I helped with a lot of the painting and moving, and while we were still in and out of the house all day, every day, we noticed the across the street neighbors kind of watching us a lot. They were an elderly couple and they were pretty friendly and they seemed lonely, so we didn't think much of it. But they were kind of weird. My grandma brought some food over for them at one point and they answered the door completely naked. But what? I mean, it's their home, it's their property. You can do whatever you want in your own home. I would just hope, like, at least put on a robe. Like, oh my God. I have no words. I don't know what to say. I think that happened a few more times, but I wasn't home, so I can't say for sure. They also frequently told us about how they looked in our windows. They would say things like, "I like the way your living room is arranged. It's so much better than the last guy had it." And directed at me, "Your bedroom must be the one upstairs that faces our house. We see you in there sometimes." Excuse me? We bought darker curtains and tried to avoid talking to them too much. Yeah, I would be living in a cave, okay? All the blinds are closed. Nobody is looking in my house any longer. How freaking creepy is that? Around the middle of the summer, the house was pretty much done except for the back deck, so we moved in while that was being worked on. The first day that deck was done, my grandma and I were sitting on the porch hanging out. Yes, I know that sounds lame. That does not sound lame. That sounds like a good time. And the lady from across the street came over with a magazine. She sat down right next to my grandma and started talking about how there was this company that absolutely changed her life. I wasn't really paying much attention because I was reading a book, but I tuned in once I heard the words powerful vibration. I realized that the lady from across the street was trying to sell my grandma sex toys. I looked at my grandma, and as soon as I made eye contact with her, I could tell that we were both desperately trying to hold back our laughter. I managed to excuse myself and head inside, but I did keep looking out the window so I could see when our neighbor left. She was there for over 3 hours. Absolutely not. Nope. You mean the creepy old lady from across the street sat on your front porch for 3 hours trying to sell your grandma sex toys? I am very rarely speechless, but this is getting me. What do I even say to that? My grandma didn't say much about it, except that she felt really weirded out by the whole interaction. Yeah, of course. I felt a bit bad for leaving her alone to deal with it, but I knew that there was no way I could be polite if I stayed. As far as I know, this only happened that one time, and I have no idea. I really don't want to know if my grandma bought anything. Oh my God. Fast forward a couple months and my cousin had moved in with us by this point. We were helping to plan a surprise party for my grandma's birthday, and my cousin and I were in charge of finding my grandma's address book. We couldn't find it anywhere, and we ended up looking in her closet because I remembered seeing her put a few boxes of papers in there when we moved. Most of them were important documents or receipts from work or bowling. She's a treasurer for her bowling league, and other random stuff. Anyway, among all of that, I found the Pure Romance catalog from the neighbor. Stupidly, we kept digging and found my grandmother's stash. Okay, all right. This story is really taking a turn. Needless to say, we are never snooping again. Fortunately, we did not find any Pure Romance items. Unfortunately, we did not find the address book. Turns out she threw it away because she put all the addresses she needed in her phone. I don't know why, considering she accidentally drops her phone in the toilet every other month, but I suppose that's not really relevant. At the time, I still didn't know that Pure Romance was an MLM. Sometime in the next year or so, 2 people I went to high school with and also my boss at the time started selling Pure Romance, and I learned way too much about their personal lives via public Facebook posts, and that's how I finally realized that it is an MLM. I never talked to my grandma about it again, but sometimes I do think about how thankful I am that she never got sucked into being a consultant or a rep or whatever for Pure Romance. That would have been way too weird for me and probably financially devastating for her. her. Anyway, I've since moved out and have never told anyone this story until now. Thank you so much for your videos. I love how informative they are and that you never blame people for getting sucked into these scams/cults. I hope you're having a great day and that you find this story as funny as I do looking back on it. Oh, my day just got 10 times better. I mean, I honestly have no commentary. I'm just like completely shocked by everything in this story. And I feel like you should tell this story more often, okay? I think people would really get a kick out of that. That can be like your party trick. Next time you're at a party, whip this story out. Oh my gosh, so good. This story says, "Hi, I'm Lily, and MLMs have basically torn my family apart. My sister, Katie, started selling Mary Kay in the early aughts. She was quickly in over her head financially and took out credit cards to buy her stock. Keep in mind, this is an impoverished rural area and a lot of women were buying beauty products from the dollar store. They don't have the kind of money to spend on Mary Kay products. I got guilted into hosting parties for her with my friends from college a few times. I never liked the products because I have insanely sensitive skin, but my mom would guilt me into buying stuff all the time. I ended up with 3 different expensive sets that I never opened. A lot of our family gatherings turned into Katie pitching a product. She even brought a setup to a cousin's wedding and was embarrassingly ushered out." You've got to be kidding me. Your sister tried to turn your cousin's wedding into a Mary Kay party. I think my head is going to explode. Any time I visited was taken up by Katie trying to recruit me for her downline to the point that I didn't spend time with her and I would hang up on her if she mentioned the business in a phone call. Our parents and some family took this as I was jealous of Katie's success. Katie leased expensive cars and maxed out more than 9 lines of credit with different banks because she needed to look like she was making money. Someone in her upline even got her a bank loan of $15,000 to move into a new townhouse. Our family and friends would flip-flop between "don't be jealous of Katie's success" to "wow, go buy some of that garbage so she can keep her lights on." By 2015, Katie had sold 31 Arbonne Senza, It Works LuLaRoe, and found the one that would cause the biggest problem, Javita Coffee. Javita Coffee is now called Dollar Coffee Club, but Katie bought in hard. Our family is genetically huge. Our dad is 7'2" and 350 pounds, so we're tall, wide women. Katie started using the coffee and tea powder as a meal replacement and lost so much weight that she started having seizures, losing consciousness, and heart palpitations. People are horrible, so she got a lot of attention from the company for her weight loss, something insane like 80 pounds when she had weighed 190 and was 5'11". She ended up collapsing and needing to be hospitalized for several weeks. Katie had quit her actual job, so she no longer had health insurance. This is a nightmare. This is a horror story if I've ever heard one. I just did a very, very brief Google on Javita coffee because I haven't heard of it before, but it's marketed as weight loss coffee. And it's very concerning that allegedly this kind of product causes seizures, unconsciousness, heart palpitations. Like, all of that is very alarming. 3 weeks later, she was back to it, having dropped Javita coffee and gone back to selling leggings. Someone in her upline somehow helped her put my grandmother's house up as collateral for some of the loans and her medical bills. What? In 2016, the bank took my grandmother's house, and it took us months to figure out why. The woman from Katie's upline had been going with Katie to our grandmother and having her co-sign credit cards, loans, and more. My father and aunts wanted Katie as the woman charged, but we never found out who the other woman was. My mother kept trying to persuade them to let Katie off the hook, which caused our parents to separate. Oh my God, ruining an entire family right now. Katie's credit is so bad she can't afford her own place, so she lives with our mother, who buys all of Katie's junk. Our grandmother moved in with my aunt, who had quit her job and cared for her full time until she passed in 2018. Unfortunately, that side of the family is still getting calls about over $15,000 of credit card debt and Katie's medical debt. When Katie calls me, she's usually hitting me up for money or to buy something. I haven't had a normal conversation with her in over 20 years. What is in the air with these stories today? I am left speechless at nearly every single one. The title of your email says, "MLMs came between my sister and I, and we no longer speak." But I would venture to say that this has come between your entire family. Everybody is affected in this. You and your sister can't have a normal conversation. She tried to hijack your cousin's wedding. She played a part in your grandmother losing her house. Your parents separated. And I don't know if it's fair of me to kind of put all of the blame for all of this stuff on your sister, because I don't know her personally and I'm going off of just this email, but wow. The way that it appears to me is it just has like this snowball effect. It seems like it's just one thing after another that's kind of destroying everything in its path. And it really does begin with her decision to be in this type of business model that does not compensate her well. It doesn't compensate most people well. That's not an experience unique to her. That's not a testament to her like being a failure at this business or anything like that. MLM business models are designed for most people to lose money. And she is just one of the millions of victims of this kind of business model. And it is breaking my heart to see that her decision to be in that kind of business model and to continue to buy into it and to give money to it and to lose money to it, that has had drastic, devastating effects on your entire family. I am so disheartened that that is the case. And although I would never wish this situation upon anybody, I am beyond thankful that you chose to write out the story, to send it to me, to allow me to share it on this platform as kind of this extreme example of what is possible and what can happen. A person's decision to be involved in this industry doesn't just ruin their own finances, it has the potential to have this ripple effect and to affect everyone around them as well. This story says, "My name is Kayla, you can share my first name, so here is my story. It's a bit different than the typical horror story because I didn't join willingly, that is." Okay. I'm intrigued. Backstory, I'm a single mom of 4 and a former lead infant teacher in early childhood education. This story begins and ends in my former infant classroom that involves my then assistant teacher. My ex-coworker was a Mon8 person, sharing all the posts, making all the claims, wearing the merch, you know the deal. Not only were her before and afters faked because I could see her real hair at work and it looked nothing like she claimed it did, she was constantly trying to get me on board. I already have hair loss, so I was not about to jump on that bandwagon. So fast forward to hours and hours spent hearing about Mon8 sales pitches in our classroom at the daycare we worked at. My birthday was coming up. She asked me my mailing address because she wanted to mail me a birthday present. I was positive it would be Mon8 products, but it was free, so I didn't want to be rude. I gave her my address, and the problem was a few hours later I got an email saying, "Thank you for joining Mon8." My jaw dropped. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. I'm pretty sure that's against some policy or some law somewhere. My present was her signing me up for Mon8. I was pretty upset. She said not to worry. I would get to keep the first product pack and then she would pay for it every month and I could just give her the packs after the first one from now on. So no loss for me. So what I'm assuming is she signed you up probably to be a VIP customer, because if you're signing up to be a representative or a market partner as they're called, you need like your social security number and things like that, and I'm assuming you did not give that to her. What this sounds like might have happened is she signed you up as a VIP, in which case it's like an auto ship program and you have to place 3 orders of $84 or more. I think that might be what this is. Like she's gonna give you the products from that first auto ship order, but then she will just cover the cost of the other 2 product shipments. I don't know, maybe that's my best guess. I could not believe that she was so desperate to recruit that she recruited herself a second time with my name and address. She would always say how it changes your life and the opportunities were amazing, but we worked the same full-time job. I also heard her personal struggles, and I know the dream life she advertised at potential recruits was not the life she really had. I tried the shampoo, it was awful. It made my hair greasy, and she told me it was from the buildup of my prior shampoos. No, that means that it was too heavy for the texture of your hair. Although the whole pitch of Mon8 is it gets rid of buildup, not to make it more intense after using Mon8. After a few months of me returning the Mon8 packages to her that were shipped to my address, yeah, this sounds like VIP program, I quit that job and she did shortly after. Her Mon8 posts kept coming on Facebook, but she eventually ended my Mon8 account that she created without my permission, and she really slowed down on promoting the products. I still see a post every few weeks on Facebook from her, but she has definitely lost her spark to push Mon8. I remember feeling so angry that she had done that behind my back and calling it a gift, but in hindsight, it just makes me sad. She was so desperate to live that perfect life she was promised when she was recruited that she was willing to recruit me and pay for it herself, just to appear successful and to fake a downline. I haven't seen her for a while, but I hope the slowdown of her promotion means she is closer to getting herself out of this disaster. She is a good person, and I hate seeing her sell herself short like this. I know this isn't like the stories you usually share, but I think it shows a different angle of how desperate these people can be when they aren't selling or recruiting recruiting enough. I thought I would add something new and different to the horror stories series. Feel free to share and use my name. Thank you, Kayla, for sharing this. How insane. Yeah, I am going to double down on the fact that I don't think she actually recruited you, because you would have to give like your tax ID number or your social security number. You'd have to fill out like a W-9 form. Like there's a whole lot of extra steps that go into that. But Monat reps do get compensated and do get bonuses for having VIP customers too. I 100% agree that she was probably going for some sort of rank, trying to fulfill some sort of quota, trying to meet some kind of like sales requirement for the month or something. Like something was going on there for sure. And there absolutely is that element of desperation, but this has got to be against their policy. It's got to be somewhere. If I can find it, I will let you know. 100% not allowed, not okay that happened. And thank you for sharing it, because apparently we need to be on the lookout for this now. PSA to everyone out there, don't give your address to Monat Huns, apparently. They'll sign you up for something. This story says, "Hi Hannah, my name is Shelby. You can use my name. First thing, I'm so sorry this is unbelievably long. I'll first just start with my first memory of any MLM products. My mom has bought from Avon, Mary Kay, and Arbonne since I was very young, possibly before I was even born. She can't remember. I attended parties with her multiple times, and I remember at an Arbonne party, I was around 9 or 10, the host made a joke about, don't worry, when you're 18, you can join too. Then I obviously didn't think anything of it, but now that's a little horrifying. Yeah, who is this lady recruiting a 9-year-old? Come on. In 2015, when I was 21 years old, my best friend joined Avon. She was not the type to recruit or push joining on anyone. I don't think she ever even had a party. She made her money mostly on selling products, as she had joined as someone was retiring and they just passed on all of their customers to her. After she started actually making money and hearing her talk about it, my interest peaked and I started asking questions. Horrible idea. She asked if I was interested in joining, and there was absolutely no pressure. So the decision to join was all on me, unfortunately. I was in a very toxic relationship and my oldest son was 4 years old, and to top it off, I was pregnant and having a lot of health problems with my pregnancy. Oh my gosh. No one ever targeted me, but because of the situation I was in, I felt it was a good choice for my family. It was $25 to join, and I remember being unbelievably overjoyed when my starter kit arrived. Gross. It's actually sickening to me now how I was so excited over a box with a bunch of papers, booklets to hand out, like 5 tiny samples, and bags to put a booklet and a sample in to hand out. I mean, I was Amazon package just arrived excited. Since my best friend was not a very pushy upline, her upline tried to help me as well. Side note, ironically, her upline ended up being my manager at a job I started 8 months after I quit Avon. She never had any hard feelings about it, and we are still friends. That's good. Back to the story. After I got my starter kit, I was encouraged to pay to have a website, which I absolutely could not afford and declined, but I did have a Facebook page. I don't recall ever selling to anyone except my mom. I started to have more and more complications with my pregnancy, and I was in and out of the hospital constantly. I was barely able to work my full-time job. I finally just told my best friend I can't do this anymore, and she completely understood. I would hope so. I would hope that she would understand. Health issues of any kind are really stressful, and it can make it very difficult to just complete normal life tasks like going to work. I can't even imagine the added pressure of being pregnant and having health issues. It's just so scary. I can't imagine. So I'm very glad to hear that she was understanding of that. My best friend being my upline probably saved me from getting harassed about doing better because she personally knew me and was not trying to put the extra stress, so really leaving was not horrible. Except the very awkward text I got one day from my best friend giving me a heads up that I owed Avon money. Later in the week, I received a letter from a top income earner in my district basically telling me that if I wasn't going to work my business, then I needed to be better and pay off my debt. Over $3, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, but I called and paid the $3, which I might add had a processing fee of I think $6 since I paid with my debit card. I not only never made a single dime, but I wasted $25 and then ended up owing them $3. I cannot deal with that. They really came after you for $3. So insane. In 2019, I was 24 years old and got the oh so well known hey girl message from a girl, we can call her her Katie, who I went to high school with. Katie was 2 years older than me and we were never friends or even talked in high school. I have attached my messages of that conversation to this email. I'm clicking through the photos that you attached to your email, and it just occurred to me that I don't think we've talked about yet what company this is for, but it appears that she's recruiting you for Mary Kay. She said, "Hey girl," you said, "Hey." Then she said, "Hey, so I have a crazy question for you. I'm earning my first free car with Mary Kay, and I've been challenged to see 30 new faces this month. It's a free session that includes a customized facial, quick makeover look, and a $20 gifted certificate towards any of our skincare sets, but there's no obligation to purchase anything. Just for getting together with me, I get credit. Have you ever tried Mary Kay before?" You said, "I have, and I do like it actually." And she said, "Oh good, do you have a consultant you use regularly? If so, what's her name? I might know her." That's her way of digging to see if she can get you or not. And you said, "My mom has one, but I do not." And then there's several more screenshots going back and forth of her trying to like set up a time with you, and you're kind of dodging her, and she's like, "Okay, but what about setting up that appointment?" And it's clear that she's just not getting the hint. And then back to your story, you say, "It was very pushy, and I do remember a lot of guilt into helping her out so she could get her car bonus. I eventually hosted my first party at my mom's house, and I remember begging people to come, and I only got my mom, my 14-year-old sister, and one of my close friends to attend. This should have been the first sign that this isn't a good idea, right? Nope." At this party, she had us all fill out a paper with 10 names of people who could really use these products. At the very end of the party, she had us play a card game to, well, basically see how many of us she could get to join. My mom decided to start buying from her, and I ever so stupidly signed up to join because she would give me a deal, and since my mom's purchase was so large, the profit she made she would put towards my $100 starter kit, and I would only have to pay $40. She also so kindly said, "Your mom can be your first customer." I was told that you don't even have to sell anything as long as you and your mom use the products, you'll be able to stay active. Lies. She was fairly new to having a team, and so she quickly handed me over to her upline, we will call her Betty, to teach me about the business. That's pretty wild that she's like, "Hey, there's actually a minimum every month that you're gonna have to hit, but that's fine, because if you just buy products for yourself and your mom buys products for herself, you should just be able to maintain that without selling a dang thing." Which it sounds like that wasn't even true, but how ridiculous is it that she was kind of pitching it that way to you in the beginning? I met with Betty at a Scooters. During this meeting, she started very happily explaining the products very quickly and said you can look at the website to better familiarize yourself as homework. Then I was educated on how to hold parties, that I absolutely needed to attend every Zoom, and how to recruit and how that would bring me more money. I was also informed that my homework also consisted of making a hundreds list, excluding the 10 people I already gave Katie at the party I hosted for her. I was to make this list as soon as I got home and then send all 100 a "Hey girl" message that she was going to send me, the exact text to send, so all I would have to do is copy and paste. She ended our conversation with telling me that it's recommended I have products on hand for quick selling and that I could just put it on a credit card or have someone co-sign for me to get a loan through Mary Kay to pay for the products, as I had absolutely awful credit at the time. She was very disappointed and said maybe you can use your income from your new business to fix your credit. Ew, don't tell somebody that. That's none of her business. I remember feeling so uneasy after the meeting and just upset and embarrassed that I wasn't in a better place in my life. I used that as my why and decided to just try it out. What's the worst that could happen? I held another party with Katie, who was going to host the party in my favor. This party was even more pathetic than the first. The only person I could get to attend was the same friend who came to the first party. At this time, I was not an active member. The intention of holding the party was to make a sale towards my $40 for my starter kit, which did not happen, and I ended up paying out of pocket. Instead, at this party, my friend ended up signing up. I was so excited because I recruited someone so soon, only to get a text the next day saying, since I wasn't active, Katie was going to sign up my friend under her instead of me. I was so crushed. This is crazy because in my last horror stories video, there was a story about someone who was in Mary Kay, I believe, whose upline like stole their recruit from them because they were like, oh, this person bought product from me in the past, therefore I have the rights to them kind of thing. It's so gross. As soon as I was active, I learned I had to pay $20 a month or every 3 months, I can't remember, to have my website, which I unfortunately paid paid for. I even went as far as deleting all of my Avon content and Facebook page from when I was in Avon because I was told by Betty that it didn't look good. I started a Shelby's VIP Mary Kay customers page, and I have attached my post to this email as well. None of these posts are my own words at all. Betty had a team page that she would post all the content we had to copy and post to our Facebook page. Even my post explaining why I started my Facebook page was copy and pasted from what Betty typed out for me. She told me I needed to change my profile picture because, quote, "we are all about women encouragement," and having a picture of me and my boyfriend didn't look good. What? I did not do this as I didn't feel it was necessary. It's not necessary. What is the point of that? I can't believe that she's trying to determine what your profile picture is going to be. She continued to comment on how I still haven't changed it. This is only where the guilt began. When I placed my first order, I had to buy $20 worth of products just to make sure I would stay active for the next 3 months. You had to meet a minimum dollar amount every 3 months or I would be inactive, and I'd have to pay, I think, $50 to become active again, on top of making a sale of over a certain dollar amount to ensure I was active for the following next 3 months. Okay. We were given a 50% discount and I was so excited because I thought I was going to make money. Wrong again. Betty texted me saying, "Congratulations on your first sale. You are now eligible to pick out free products." I selected my products to ship with my order. After receiving my order, I texted Betty and asked when I would see my profit from my sale. Her response was, oh my God. Her response, "Oh, your profit went towards the products you got." I was so confused, and honestly, I'm still confused on how that even made any sense since she said free products. Then I decided to hold another party at my mom's house. This time I had my mom, a cousin, the friend that had already joined, and my mom had convinced one of her friends to come. This is where another red flag came up, and I still kept trying to make this business work. My mom's friend had agreed to come on one condition. She would absolutely not buy anything or join. That's like a nightmare MLM party attendee. Like, great, you're gonna bring someone, but they're gonna absolutely not do anything for us. Love it. But that would be me too. Like, sure, I'll come, I'll have some snacks, I'll socialize, but you're not getting anything out of me. This party was still held by Katie because I was still new. My cousin showed interest, but thankfully talked it over with her boyfriend after going home and did not join. I was struggling to sell more products or recruit people, so I began to stop posting and attending Zooms or even texting Katie and Betty back. I would receive multiple calls and text, just checking in, with a ton of guilt about how this business doesn't work itself and how I have to want to make it work. After weeks of them doing this, I convinced my mom to buy again and was active for another 3 months. I didn't post anything though, and they continued to call and text with messages full of trying to guilt me and just checking in messages. I eventually just said, "I'm sorry, this isn't working for me," after months of trying to figure out how to get out of this. I was quickly removed as a friend by Betty and removed from her Facebook page. Katie still has me on Facebook and actually reached out to me in May of 2020, which I just left her on red as I desperately did not want that to start all over again. Thankfully, I didn't end up owing Mary Kay money, but I definitely lost money and never made a single penny. I first started watching anti-MLM content in 2020 when my best friend, the one who got me into Avon, sent me a link for Kiki Chanel's channel. Quickly, the wheels started to turn after watching Kiki's videos and having conversations with my best friend about the MLM we were in together and also my experience with Mary Kay. I wasn't all that passionate about it at the time. I just thought, wow, this is crazy. Until I started getting all these hey girl messages to be a product tester, which I tried to either politely decline or just leave on red to avoid them completely. I even had to unfriend people on Facebook because they just didn't give up, and I was so tired of seeing 30 posts about products and join my team. Recently, my best friend sent me a link for one of Jessica Hickson's videos and I was hooked. I love Jessica's channel. After I started watching Jessica and Kiki's videos, I started having videos for anti-MLM content show up and found your page. I absolutely love what you're doing. I never realized while I was in Mary Kay that it wasn't just me who was getting treated that way, and I took it very personally at the time. Now I know they weren't failed attempts and I did the best I could. I'm sorry this is so long. I blacked out names and faces on my screenshots already. Thank you for bringing awareness to this topic. I think that's the most important conclusion that you can get out of all of this anti-MLM content is just that you are not alone. And I hope that these horror stories really show that. You did include a lot of screenshots from that Facebook page that you created. I'm just gonna read your very first post because you said that you had copied and pasted it from your upline, which is so crazy. So you posted this as you were creating this group for Mary Kay, but it's not even your own words. You said, I created this group for my Mary Kay customers. I promise to keep it real, fun, entertaining, and brief. I won't be posting every day, maybe not even every week, but I would like to keep all of you in the loop so no one misses out. You can reach me by text, call, Facebook Messenger, or you can now shop from my website. If you don't have my number, message me and I will give it to you. And I put the link to my website below. Thank you for all your love and support. And the thing about this is that it is so common for teams of people in MLMs to kind of have these templates, to have these copy and paste Facebook posts, Instagram captions, cold messages. It really is wild when you think about the fact that none of this is really original, and it's meant to come off like really personable and like, hey, this is my new group, or hey girl, I saw your page and you'd be great at what I do. All of that type of language is supposed to make you seem more approachable, more relatable, and hopefully get people to join. But it's almost like when you do join, you realize that all of this content is just like mass produced and mass reposted by all the people on the same team. Like none of it feels genuine, none of it feels real, but unfortunately it is very common. And with that is all of the absolutely horrifying stories that I have for you for this video. As you know, I don't pre-read these. What I'll do is I kind of scan the story, I look to see what companies they deal with, and I look at the length of the stories to make sure that the length of the video is going to be appropriate. And I don't know what happened. I have stories from December, January, and February in this one video, and across the board. This might be like the most horrifying collection I've ever seen in one video, but please keep them coming. If you have stories like this, they need to be shared. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next one real soon.